Let's take a look at two types of people that are using Instagram. And to be honest, I fell into the first category. And I have for a very long time until I figured out how I'm going to go about it in a less stress way. If this is you, let me know. If you are consistently not posting, you have a low follower count, you feel like you're missing out on all the opportunities on Instagram, and then you get into it now and again, but inconsistently. So there's random bursts of activity where you're scrabbling to post, you have an idea, you're like, okay, I need to write the post or film the post and then edit the post and then post the post, but it's not consistent. This is one way you can go about it. Random bursts of consistency and being consistently inconsistent. Or we could be this. You could be confident and focused in your strategy. You know what you're doing, you have a plan, you have an account that is growing and is building towards better opportunities for you and your business and even lifestyle opportunities. And you're doing it in a way that feels comfortable. It doesn't feel overwhelming and it doesn't feel like you're scrabbling to post every day. So before we get into it, let me just talk a little bit about who I am. I'm a training designer. I've always been into digital and video, and I love it. I'm a massive geek for video. And I've been playing around on Instagram for a long time. Mostly, I've been connecting with other creative people, sharing what I'm interested in, just kind of sharing random things I like, which is fun. And in my career, I've been rolling out training design. So, this is where you take loads of crazy information and package it in a way that's easy to understand. And I've been doing this for large businesses, a lot of not that interesting content, I might be honest, but it's a consistent job and it's allowed me to do some design, but also learning a lot about process mapping and design. And this is where I've applied it to Instagram strategy and I'm finding some great results. And that's why I'm really excited to share this with you because I feel like I'm making progress rather than missing out. I think learning new skills is one of the best ways to approach life with a positive, like curious attitude because you're always learning. And now I'm applying that strategy and process mapping brain to Instagram and figuring out how we can use it for our own needs and to grow and build something that we really want in life. I know it sounds big, but it is a huge opportunity. It's massive. So let's look at a little bit about the power of Instagram. Let's remind ourselves why this like fear of missing out is really real. And let's get a bit more excited again before we dive into why we're maybe missing out in posting for ourselves. Instagram is all about the power of awareness. There's a lot of people on Instagram, a lot of people just scrolling, looking, taking their time out by being inspired on there. But also, there's a huge opportunity for an audience. And that, of course, leads to money. There's a huge opportunity for monetization on Instagram. You hear about people doing brand deals. People can really change their career directory on Instagram by learning and sharing their new skills and then getting paid by clients to do those skills for them. And businesses are being built without even being an active business because they have such a huge following that the minute they hit go in being able to sell products, bam, if you've got 100,000 followers, if you look at the simple maths, it doesn't take a genius to work out that if you have a lot of followers, there's a lot more opportunity for whatever you want to do. Alrighty, so we pretty much know that there's a lot of opportunity there. So how do you get started? I know that it seems like a lot, the idea of having like a lot of followers, and I can assure you it won't happen overnight or all at once. And I've spent a lot of time over analyzing this, overthinking how to present myself online and how to get started in social media. And it doesn't have to be complicated for you because I can show you what I've learned since like 2017 of starting out in this. So before we get into a posting strategy and planning it out, and I promise you it's simple, it's not going to be overwhelming and a lot. Let's take a little look at why you might not be posting in the first place. And I honestly believe it comes down to your perspective of how you're using this platform. So let's have a little look at how we can have a perspective shift from one to the other. One blocker I see in a lot of people is that you need a perfect video or a perfect post to get traction. But I promise you this, if you focus on perfection, you will not be making progress. So let's look at creating content as an experiment, learning what works from that. And in my process of design, there's a way to look at what's actually working, which will help you in knowing what will be more effective on Instagram. But the perfection over progress, but the perfection, the perfection over progress is something that we need to shift away from, because otherwise you're not going to post anything and you're going to be still feeling in that zone of fear of missing out and low follower count and random bursts of creativity that's not part of the plan. Another thing I see is people like, okay, I don't really want to put my face out there. And that's fine. If you don't want to put your face out there, you don't have to. You choose your comfort level of how you're posting online and presenting yourself online. That's your choice. No one's forcing you to do anything. You don't have to put any personal details out there if you're worried about privacy. You don't have to have a personal account where you're sharing what you had for breakfast unless you really want to, but I'd probably advise against it if you're focused on a strategy. I like to think about the idea of putting my face out there is basically how I would show up to work, show up to a meeting. In real life, you interact with people, you talk to people, and not everyone is super nice, but that's the reality of life. And another thing that we look at is the fear of negativity, putting yourself out there and being judged or being hated on, which I like don't even come doesn't even come to my mind because that's just not how I use these platforms. The thing is, if you are putting yourself out there and you get negative response, basically the people that support you come to your rescue. And you might be surprised, but these platforms were meant to be social platforms. And it doesn't mean that there's people just hating on you for every single thing you do. It means that there's a community of people that are interested in what you do and you support each other and you kind of hype each other up. You're like, yeah, that's awesome. Good work. The biggest way to get over the fear of the negative response is to actually be yourself. Be authentic and don't be a dick online. Speak your truth, be kind, don't be a keyboard warrior and just put random crappy comments out there to get responses to your crappy comments. Because also in the future, that's going to be there for a long time. If you're putting out hate online, what about your grandchildren going to think about you just being nasty online? What's the point in that? I honestly doesn't even come to mind about the negative side because I focus on my community, my focus, and being just a nice person, supporting others. And that in turn comes back twofold. Another blocker might be, yeah, I posted something and it didn't work. It wasn't that your post was shit, it was just an experiment. Think of it as an experiment. You're testing the waters, you're seeing what works, you put something out there. If you get one view, that one view is a real life person who took the time to look at something you put out. Let's change the mindset from I don't know what to post and I'm crap at online doing stuff online to I don't know what to post, but I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to give it a good try. I'm going to figure it out and find what works for me and what is interesting to my followers and also what fits what my big goal is, because it's not just about getting 100 followers or 100 views on your post. It's about building something here. It's just part of the plan. Trust in the process. If you think of it more of a journey of learning, you're going to be proud of the achievements you got when you've got to where you want to be. So let me know what you think about these bias blockers. I think they're a huge part of being successful online, because once you get over these blockers that you might have and why you're not posting, who's stopping you now? You can go full force and start building something. I like to think of it as you're either a producer or you're a consumer. If you're in that consumer mode, let's shift to producer and start building your own little bit of the internet online. Okay, so if you feel like the idea of posting regularly is like a huge metaphorical weight on your shoulders before you've even started, you're like, oh, it's going to take so much time. I don't have the time for that. I don't have the ideas. I don't have the editing time. Let's have a little look at my stress less method, just a high level to get you into the flow of thinking that you can do this and post more. Okay. The first section in the method is to know thy niche. This is really important because this comes into the strategy part of the process. If you know what you're looking to create, you have more of a framework for your content and you have a focus on the content that you can kind of have as your North Star of what you're producing. Oh, I like that term. If you might be like me and change what you want to do all the time, this is not going to help you be consistent online. It's time to focus in. They talk about the niche. This is like the little pocket of area of things that you're into. Could be like graphic design, you could be into like vegan food. It's about taking all these possible things you could do with your life and things that you're interested in and putting it into a little pocket, a little niche of what you're going to focus on. And this helps to have a plan and a strategy of what your end game is for why you're going to use Instagram to build your personal brand or business. It helps create a framework for your content. It just gives you focus and it gives you more clarity, which helps so much because then you're not trying to figure out all these different things of what will work. You can focus in on something and then improve it and make it better. Now, talking about seeing what works, this is the next step in the method. Basically, researching the viral nature of things within your niche, researching the niche, seeing other creators, go follow them, go interact with them, go see how they work, see how they produce content, and then follow similar formats to what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. You don't have to copy word for word or copy exactly what they're doing, but we're going to remix that for our content and what our focus is. One of the most simplest ways to grow online is to see what's working already in your niche and then repurpose that. There's even a remix button on Instagram for remixing other people's content. This isn't about copyright issues or just copying and pasting what other people are doing. It's watching how they are doing it and applying it for your own niche. So now we talk about the content, and this is where the design process is going to save you so much stress. So the process of design is about taking the stress off not knowing what to post, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it. It's about having a simple process that gives you the actions to work on a daily basis. Basically, it's chunking it up, chunking it into the activity. For example, you do the research stage, looking at what works. Then you document it in a smart way, not just scrabbling everywhere, making notes. You have it in a one place, which is just like, oh, it's just like a weight off your shoulders. You don't have to have 100 post ideas in your head. You take them out and put them into this system. The process also, having a design process means having something that's repeatable. So we're creating some templates. We're creating a bit of a step-by-step of how you do it. You don't have to have it all in your head of how I did it every single time. We have a nice, simple process we follow that helps us create content in a stress-free manner because we're not scrabbling every time to start from scratch basically each time. So you figured out what's in your niche, you've seen what works, you're following the design process, you're posting consistently, and then, maybe a month later, you're looking at what you've done, you're reviewing it, a bit of analytics, and then you are doubling down on what worked. And this is basically the overview of how to do it with a stress less approach. It doesn't have to be crazy complicated. That's the thing. You've seen viral reels that are 4 seconds long of someone stirring a coffee with like a bit of text on screen, and they've got millions of views. It doesn't have to be complicated in what you're producing, but to be consistent. And it's not even about posting like every minute of the day. It's about having a consistent message and a brand and a niche and value that you're providing your audience, and to have it mapped out in a way that you don't even need to think about it. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to work on something. What is it? Okay, I'm at this spot. I'm going to work on this. And it's a good feeling. It's nice to be like growing something of your own in an area that you're interested in. And trust me, if you're building an account that has lots of followers, it's about opportunity. And Instagram is a huge opportunity. And don't forget, it's free. It is a free platform. You don't have to pay anything to follow this process. You can use stuff that is free. It's not a big investment. It's just about using your time in a bit of a smart way. So I'm thinking like you can post hard or you can post smart. And I'm all for the latter because No one's got time to be stressed out. There's enough going on in the world anyway. I really hope you've got a little nugget of information from this that might have changed your thinking a little bit, or you're feeling more like, okay, yeah, Claire, I can do this now. So if you're interested in taking the next step, I've actually mapped out the whole process in a course. So if you're interested in learning, it's only like $20. So go dive in and grab some of the templates that I've already put together, saving you even more time. And then create your plan and just go kill it on Instagram, because this is a crazy opportunity. And as a creative, I just think that supporting other creators is like one of the best feelings ever. So I wish you luck, and I'll see you in the next video. If you have any questions, send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.